Okay, tell me what you're doing out here in Decatur today.
Okay. Last year, I retired from the public schools after teaching 36 years, and I always related to the Lewis and Clark expedition, westward wagons, things like this. And I always wondered if I could physically walk across the United States. The first thing was convincing my wife. I finally got her approval. And so I left actually last June accompanied by about 80 students. I'm from Eugene, Oregon, which is only about an hour from the ocean, and they walked the first 3 miles with me and got on some bus. When you get into something, you find that there's other people who do these things too. And most people recommend a secondary cause, maybe raising cancer awareness or something of the sort. Well, for me, as a civil libertarian and a believer in the Constitution, I've taught American history and the United States government, and it's something I really believe in sincerely from my heart. And so this is my secondary cause. As I go across the United States, I talk to people about the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And the nice thing about my message is it's not political. So you can be left or right, red state, blue state, up, down, all around. It really doesn't matter. And people have been very, very supportive of my endeavors. And it's really opened my heart to people, because it's very easy to get, you have your ATM, you have your car, you have your house and stuff, you think you don't need folks. But on a trip like this, you actually do have to ask people for assistance, and everybody has been supportive. People have donated everything from water to food to money. And what really got me motivated was 6 years ago, I felt in the name of the war on terrorism, we were throwing the baby out with the bathwater, that these civil liberties are time-honored. And so I became active. And I had an old-time outfit made, and I waded into the public arena and started passing out copies of the Bill of Rights. I've graduated since then, where I do 4th of July celebrations and recite the Declaration of Independence from memory, all kinds of crazy stuff. Because I really do believe in patriotism. And one thing I'd like people to know is that patriotism doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything that your country is doing. I have 2 children in their 20s, and heavens, I don't agree with everything they do, but I love them to death. And this is one of the messages I want to get across to people, that you might be for or against the war. You might be for or against this, and it doesn't really mean that you're not patriotic. It's not just waving the flag and the Star-Spangled Banner. It's simply loving your country. And if you don't love your country, then something's a little dysfunctional. It's like not loving your mother. If you don't love your mother, then I don't know what's going on. It was a dysfunctional family or something. So my message as I've gone across has been to try to get people interested in American history. It's a great story. And really to appreciate our Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Because to me, it's a little bit like opera. I don't appreciate opera. And the reason I don't is because I'm ignorant of the subject. To me, it sounds like somebody stepped on a cat's tail. But if you were a vocalist, a trained vocalist, it's like the caviar of music. Well, that's how I feel about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. With a little bit more of an education. And then I don't think people would be so quick to throw them out. Because I look at freedoms like hairs on your head. You can lose them one at a time, and you kind of go, ouch, what was that? But, you kind of roll over and go back to sleep. But if somebody were to grab a whole handful all at once and start to yank, well, you'd fight for them. And so this is my mission. I've always taught the kids that, we can't change the world by ourselves. So what you have to do is do your own small bit. If you and I and these other people here could go out, we could lift a truck off the ground with enough people together. And so my small part is handing people copies of the Bill of Rights, having them maybe look at them, oh, I forgot about this one, ask a child, you're learning these things in school, stuff like this, and then that's my part. So I started in Oregon in June. The high part of my journey has been, I went through the Yellowstone National Park. And the nice thing about that is there were people from all over the United States, all over the world, and people were going slow enough that they actually stop and ask what's going on. There was a tour bus that they have. They run these old-time tour buses. They look like they're from the 1930s or 40s, and a tour bus stopped, and about 50 or 60 people got off the bus and asked me what was going on. And right there on the spot, I had an impromptu lesson on the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And there were people, again, from all over the world. There was some Middle Easterners there. It really touched my heart. Didn't speak English very well at all. They had an adult son. They insisted that he translate every word I said, and they'd never even heard the American Bill of Rights. So I felt like I was an ambassador for our country. But whether it's the national parks, whether it's a small little town or big city, it's the message that everybody can get behind, because we're not about hot dogs, we're not about Chevrolet and those sorts of things. Those are all cultural things. It's the Constitution that joins everybody together, and the sinews that bind. And so that's really what my message is. And I plan to go through Philadelphia. Again, I started in Oregon, in Florence Beach, with a bunch of school kids, and I've been traveling ever since. I probably took about a dozen days off, and I'm going to take off again tomorrow, and my goal is to get to Philadelphia, and I'll stop in Atlantic City. And in closing, I will say that I have a little vial of ocean water that I collected with the kids, and I'm carrying that in my little cart that I don't have with me at the moment, but I have an empty one too. And when I get to the Atlantic Ocean, I'm going to put ocean water from the Atlantic, and I'll have the whole sea to shining sea thing. So that's really what my message is about, and like I said, it's something that everybody can get behind. I appreciate the fact that you came out here even in.
Okay. Tell me, have you had anyone just come up to you and just, be opposed to what you're doing?
All right, well, what has happened recently, and first of all, I want you to know I don't represent any political group. People say, are you with the ACLU? No, I'm not with it. Are you with the John Birchers of the Tea Party? No, I'm not with it. I'm just a school teacher who's given 36 years of my professional life to this, and I think about these things, and they're very valuable to me. The only negative has been there's an association with the rise of the Tea Party movement recently. They have the tricorn hat, things like this. People sometimes make assumptions. I had a very liberal person yell some derogatory things to me, making an assumption that I represented the Tea Party group. Well, I'm not for the Tea Party. I'm not against the Tea Party. Sometimes certain minority groups will come up to, well, your ancestors held my ancestors as slaves. And I don't deny that. We need to look history squarely in the eye, But I would say that the Taj Mahal was built with slave labor, and yet it's one of the ancient wonders of the world, and I surely would not tear it down. Do I know that the door has not always been open to all groups? Yes, and I'll admit that right now. Women, blacks, Latinos, go right down the list. We haven't faced up to really what we did to American Indians yet, and we need to do that. But I would say that door hasn't been open, but it's important that we as citizens push that door together. So I still believe in to me, the greatest system that's been set up.
Okay. Besides the school kids that joined you right from the start, have you had other people, walk with you?
I've had some people that have walked with me to talk with me, but nobody has joined the parade or anything. I had a man who was a Czech. We used to say Czechoslovakia, but the country's been divided now. He made sure I knew that, and he was very interested. He walked probably 2 miles with me, just questioning me. Now, you don't see it now, but I have a cart that I'm pushing. It has a Liberty Bell on the side and a couple of American flags, and the thing weighs about 170 pounds. And, so when you're trying to carry on a conversation while you're pushing something at the same time, it's pretty breathtaking. But yes, I've had people walk small bits, but I haven't had the parade yet. No.
Oh, okay. What's the longest that you've walked in a day?
Good question. My record is 45 miles. Now, that's more than a day. The problem was Route 2 or Highway 2 in Iowa. It was so narrow. There was no shoulders on the road for bicyclists, and there were so many agricultural trucks and semis that it was so dangerous. I had to revert to night walking. So I got up at, I think, 11:20. I hit the road, and I was done at 5 something the next day, and I took about an hour and a half rest during the day. But it was 45 miles. Normally, if nothing is pushing me or holding me back, 25 miles is a nice distance for me. I've always been into physical fitness. I've lost a lot of weight, by the way. I didn't need to, but I got on a scale in Idaho, and I started off at 202, and I was down to 180. And so I know that was a little spooky because, it's well, I don't have that much to lose here. But, yeah, so it's been, I would recommend to anybody if they want to lose weight, walk across the United States. In fact, I think there was a guy that did that. I don't know if he worked for Subway or something, but anyway, he walked across.
Okay.